I'm Lisa Bailey.
And I'm Patrick Bailey with IQlist.com. Today is March 28th, 2018, and this is Manipulative Monday.
Manipulatives. Not manipulate Monday. Manipulatives.
So my first video, I messed it up. So Manipulatives Monday. So this is our first video, and I already screwed it up. So we're going to try to answer the question, what manipulatives can we make for helping our kids learn their numbers, specifically place value? Okay, what is a manipulative? Manipulatives. So I'm just going to read one of the definitions, and then my wife can go off more because she's better educated than I am. And this is specifically to mathematics. And I'm just going to kind of read from Wikipedia. So in Wikipedia, they talk about manipulatives, and it says, in mathematics education, a manipulative is an object which is designed so the learner can perceive some mathematical concept by manipulating it, hence its name. The use of manipulatives provides a way for children to learn concepts through developmentally appropriate hands-on experience. And after having read that, I guess manipulatives is not just not only the realm of mathematics, because I guess you could have chemistry manipulatives, engineering manipulatives.
Anything that will take a learning concept that is being, for the learner, is difficult. And maybe if you create some sort of figure in front of them, other than like a picture in a book, but instead you create something in front of them where they can touch it and see it and feel it and manipulate it, that tends to allow the learner to grasp that concept better.
So a picture is not a manipulative?
No.
But like we printed out that bust of Caesar, mm-hmm. Now you can't alter him, but you can touch him. So Is he a manipulative?
I would say yes.
Okay. But a better manipulative is something that you would move around and organize and change.
And the manipulative is, you have a manipulative because the concept, the topic that you're teaching isn't quite sinking in. And so you're now sitting there thinking, okay, how else can I explain or demonstrate or show so in a different way to help them to understand? Because reading it in a book or seeing it on a poster or something like that, just it's not sinking in the concept. So how else can I help the learner understand this concept? So maybe you go seek out a manipulative. Okay, so
you're kind of already answering my next question I wrote down. Why would I want to use them? And you kind of covered that. Why else would I want to use them? It's just because they're helping them learn?
Yeah, it's enhancing their learning.
Okay.
And you don't necessarily need a manipulative for everything. It's just for the topics that they're having a hard time grasping.
Okay. And there's probably sometimes when it's like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to need a manipulative, so you got it ahead of time.
For example, fractions.
Yeah.
Fractions, all of a sudden you show them the fraction 1/2.
Mm-hmm.
1/2. And you tell a 4th grader, here's a fraction, 1/2. What does this means? 0.05. This means...
That's strange.
But if you take a pizza,
okay.
Pizza can be a manipulative. You take a pizza and you talk about this as a whole,
mm-hmm.
and you cut it in half, you now have 1 out of 2 pieces. 1/2. So it just is used to enhance concepts that can be difficult. Fractions tend to be a good way to get manipulatives. If you go into any kindergarten, preschool, classroom, you will see lots of manipulatives because kids like to touch when they learn at that age. So.
Okay, so next, why are we doing these videos? So with these Manipulative Mondays, the idea we've had is, as homeschoolers, now that we've got the 3D printer, I think I want to encourage all homeschoolers to get a 3D printer. not only for the obvious stuff. Oh, it's cool to 3D print. You can learn some engineering. You can learn X, Y, and Z, and it's fun. But also, I think you can greatly enhance your education in many ways. And one of those ways is to go print your own manipulatives that you either can't find or
are really expensive.
Or they're expensive for what you get.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much money, if any, if at all, you'll save, but I think you'll enhance.
Well, I'm not so sure how much money you'll save, and it will probably cause a lot more aggravation at the beginning. But imagine your 6-year-old child not grasping a concept, and all of a sudden, something's printing out.
Not only they can see it print, so they get excited about that. That's part of the manipulative.
Exactly, and as they get older, they'll start to, you can sit down with them and create their own manipulatives like we did Julius Caesar. My kids didn't know anything about Julius Caesar. All of a sudden, we're printing this bust of him with pencils stuck in the back of him because he was
stabbed by the Senate.
And now they get it. And that will be molded into their brain as opposed to seeing a picture.
I agree. I think so. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And the fact that it's printing right next to you, you.
Yeah.
And our kids are at an older age and can understand the concept of how that print got to there and started. They have more buy-in.
Yeah. And so we'll see how this shapes up. I don't know where it's going to end up, but my first thought about this is my wife, the teacher, more so than me, I want her to challenge me as her designer / searcher, and her to come to me and say, I need a manipulative for this. And either I need to go figure out how to design it or go find it on Thingiverse or somewhere else. But also, I want to challenge other homeschoolers who are 3D printing right now or other 3D printers.
Homeschool students.
Homeschool students, or not even just homeschool people. I want to challenge people who want to help students with manipulatives. So not only do I want my wife to challenge me and say, hey, I need a manipulative that teaches about Caesar being stabbed.
Well, DNA. The helix alone, that's a hard one.
That's a good example. So we're not going to use that today, but if you came to me and said, hey, I want to teach the kids about DNA, go find something or make something that we can use. And I also want to challenge you out there to go, if you're interested and you want to help these kids out, go find some manipulatives, go create some manipulatives based on this challenge. So if this week we say, hey, we want to do DNA, go out and post comments and post links so that other people come in here looking for DNA. Well, hey, here's some really cool manipulatives, and people can have some opinions on that, and we can start. There's a lot of things on Thingiverse that it's organized to a degree, but wouldn't it be nice if people were looking for manipulatives in a specific area and they could find them easier? Or in some cases, like we have, I won't go over it today, but we did find a couple of manipulatives that were like, this is really cool. And we downloaded them and used them from Thingiverse, but then they fell apart in 3 seconds. And we're like, this is cool, but it needs a redesign. So there may be a case where, hey, we found something, it's got the right idea.
It needs to be tweaked.
But it needs to be tweaked. And so I want to be challenged. I want to challenge people out there to go, let's go make some cool things for some kids to help them learn. So that they can just go download these things and print them out. Now, there's a lot of homeschool parents who I want to encourage to get a 3D printer who may never design anything. But they want to, but if all of a sudden there's tons of resources they can download and say, oh, I want to teach this. And they can actually know, hey, not only is this a DNA helix, which we actually downloaded one the other day, and it was like, oh, and it got done, and we're like, it had the right idea, but it needed a redesign. Because in reality, we're like, this is okay, but it's not there. It needs something more. So I want my wife, Lisa, to challenge me to go find these things / make them. And also challenge you, the audience out there, to go find and make these and say, hey, this is cool, this is neat, so that these kids can have better manipulatives. So that's the reason for these videos. And that's why we want to do them. And I think they're going to be really valuable to us and hopefully to other people too. So with that, we'll get on to our first challenge that my wife's going to challenge me with. Okay, so the first challenge. So like we mentioned at the first, we're talking about... Okay, I even forget the name. Place value?
Place value.
Place
That's
value.
horrible that you don't know that.
I know, and I'm an engineer. I just don't think about it. I mean, I know.
So elementary.
It's so elementary. You forget all these words. So with that, what specifically is the challenge for this Manipulative Monday?
Okay, so my two kiddos are a little bit older than what this challenge requires, but I remember, especially when my son was younger, more around first grade, he had a hard time counting numbers in order. And I think a lot of that is developmental for him, because as soon as it clicked, it clicked. Mm. But I did not have any manipulatives for him to look at and at least play with and, enhance the concept of place value when he was learning his numbers. Mm. So all I had were number cards. Like you take a index card and you write number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, all the way to 20 for probably kindergarten, and give that to your student and say, okay, put these in order as you're teaching them to count 1 to 20, and hopefully by the end they can go, line them up 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 10.
And that's a manipulative.
The index card, yes.
But we could do something fancier.
Yeah. But that manipulative did not work for our son.
Okay.
He would rather take him and throw him, or use him as a weapon or a sword or something.
And I guess that brings up a good point. If you're going to teach, like here, we're talking about place value, there might be 2 or 3 or 4 different concepts that are totally different. That one may work for a kid, and the other one may work for another kid.
Manipulatives. Yeah, absolutely. So you just keep digging through the bag of ideas, and hopefully something sticks. Okay. And even during our learning process, we came up with ways to learn. Yeah. And so we've done this too. I never tried this on our children, but I had always had this idea in the back of my head to try it. Okay. Luckily for me, my son got past that, and he can now count wonderfully. He's doing great. Good. So, in the Singapore primary mathematics, so this would be your elementary school level mathematics, in this level 1B, which just doesn't necessarily match up with grade level. It's around that, but it doesn't necessarily match up with first grade. It's more towards, what's their level of learning. In the U.S. edition, they do a wonderful job taking and creating manipulatives to help your child learn their numbers and place value. So the ones position, the tens position, the hundreds position, the thousands position, and so forth and so on, etc., etc. Okay. So, did you want me to show it in this book, or no?
Well, maybe you could show it. I don't know. But the idea is, well, the book is the book. So that's what we teach them. It's a good book. Yeah. So I don't want to show their book when it's their copyright material, right? But we can show, this is the book. Mathematics, primary mathematics 1B. Which we use in our education for homeschooling, but I guess a lot of schools use this textbook as well, right?
I don't think schools use it.
It's more of a homeschool thing?
I think it's more of a homeschool thing. Okay. Yeah. I don't think schools
But I guess, okay. So I guess the challenge is you want to make a manipulative to teach
place
value. So the ones, the tens place value, the hundreds, the thousands, and figure out a way to do that. And you mentioned... being able to stack them or something.
Yeah. So if you could, and do you want me to tell the challenge to you?
Yeah, the challenge to me, and anyone else.
So I wanted my husband to create essentially number tiles, in a way, and I let his engineering mind take over. Number tiles, 1 through 9, in all the same color. And that would represent your ones position.
Okay.
And then I said, now I also want in a number tile, number 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90.
Okay.
All in the same color.
But a different color than the ones.
But a different color than the single digit numbers. So that if I have the number 20 down here, and I want to change it to 24, I just have to take my number tile and stack it on top of that 0, and we have a 24. And this color represents the ones column. This color represents the tens column.
Gotcha.
And then, as you advance in your learning, you create 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, all the way up to 900.
With some stackable tiles.
And then you can stack the 20 on top of the 400. So you've got 420.
Okay.
And you can stack a ones tile on top. So now you have 426. That is a manipulative. So they can see the color code. This is the ones position. This is the tens position. This is the hundreds position. Okay. Might work, might not work, but it's worth a try. It's better than flashcards.
Okay. So that is my challenge.
That's your challenge.
And I may, in this challenge, I'm going to go make it. But in some challenges, I may try to go search for it and see what I can find, because there may be something already perfectly good out there. But for this first challenge, I want to try to create. But also, there's this challenge anyone else out there who wants to do it as well. If you find something or you want to make something and you want to stick it on Thingiverse or some other place that we can link to, then just tell us and we'll put links to it and people can, air their opinions on them and maybe get some good stuff together. And I haven't yet put anything on Thingiverse. This may be the first thing I put on Thingiverse. But as I make this, I'll make whatever I make available on Thingiverse for other people to use too, because what's the point of me showing you a video of like, hey, look at this cool thing that you have to figure out how to make? So I'll make what I make, and I may fail miserably, or my wife may look at it and go, that's perfect, or it's like close, but here's some tweaks. But I'll do what I can do in the next few days and see what I can do.
And this has the potential for many years, because in kindergarten, I don't know what they're required to know, 0 to 20. Mm-hmm. And by a certain grade, they have to know 1 to 100. And then they have to know, 1 to 1,000. And pretty soon you have to know 1 to 10,000 and 1 to 100,000. And then it has the potential to go the other way and do the tenths and the hundredths and the thousandths. So this has awesome potential
so I could eventually
to last many years, to help many students, because counting is happening in every single classroom, whether it's at a school or whether it's at a homeschool.
Okay. Well, with that, challenge accepted. So I'll go try to see what I can make, and then we'll see what I make here. Okay, let's get going. Okay, it's been several days, and I've been trying to do some design work and ask questions and print some tests out, but this is kind of what I came up with. Or I said we came up with, because she kept redesigning it. So I have these stackable tiles. And so the idea is they come apart, and so you have your hundreds, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can put one of these guys on.
No, keep going.
It backwards? Oh, other side. How to do this backwards?
Let's start with the other one.
Start the other way? Oh, start with tens?
Yeah, start with ones.
Okay, start with ones. There's ones! Just some, in the ones place, just a bunch of numbers, so it should be 1 through 9. Mm-hmm. And then you get your tens, which would always have a 0 right there. And then these guys goes in, it's hard to do.
Go on the other side.
Hard to do backwards. Okay, they go in the ones place, and they actually snap in a little bit. And so now
the yellow represents the ones.
The yellow represents the 1, and the green's the tens, and we have 100. And the way it's set up, you could actually, you could take the hundreds, and you could, you don't have to use the tens, but if you wanted to do that, I guess you could. Right? Depends on how you're teaching your kid. and they kind of snap in. Ta-da! So, I think it was pretty cool, but I've gotten some of your opinion, but now you have to do your opinion on camera, so what do you think of all that fun stuff?
Well, I think you asked for exactly what I was looking for. I mean, I asked for essentially something tactile that kids could touch when it comes to the place value. So, for example, a beginning learner would be learning how to count 1 to 100.
Yeah.
And they have to learn that, you know, for example, in the number 111, you know, the yellow would represent the ones place, the green middle number would represent the tens place, and the blue would represent the hundreds place. So, yeah, that's what I kind of asked for. I'm excited to get like a whole set of numbers.
Yeah.
So we don't have just a bunch of ones.
I have a bunch. Yeah, we're just test right now, so I got a bunch of ones, but I need to go print out some 2s and 3s and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so the yellows, the ones would go, you know, it's probably a good idea to print out a 0 just in case.
Yeah.
The 0 to 9. And then the 10s, or the greens, would do 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 90.
All up to 9, okay.
And then the hundreds would go 100, 200, all the way up to 900.
Yeah.
So you could click
If
in.
you need that much.
So if, you know, you wanted to quiz your kid, you know, show me an 8 in the ones place. Show me the number 842. And so, you know, they would get the 800, and then they would grab the 400 tile, or the 40 tile, and then they would grab the 2 tile. And at the end, they would have 842, and then you could quiz them on, you know, what number is in the tens place, which is
okay.
And then you could also help them to learn to count up using these tiles. Going from 0, if you want to start at 0 or just 1. And you could go all the way up to 999 using a little manipulation or, you know, moving things. But yeah, it's exactly what I asked for.
Yay, cool. So I got a winner out of the gate. Now this is our first one, so I don't know what's going to happen with other people trying to make other versions, but if you make another version, please tell me, because I would like to promote other learning tools that people can use. You can take this as an idea and run with it. Maybe there's something else you can add to it or change it or rearrange it. But I like this idea, you know, for a first run. And it was fun designing it. So just to show you some of the stuff I did, I'm going to make another video showing how I created it using Fusion 360. But if you look in the background here, you can kind of see some of the designs we came up with. And so it's pretty cool using Fusion 360. So, you know, there's the ones, and I can easily change it. And, you know, there's the hundreds. And Fusion 360 has been a cool tool. And I won't go into detail right now, but I'm going to hopefully do a video so other people can see, you know, kind of reinforce. For me, helping to teach a little bit helps reinforce my learning because I'm still learning Fusion 360. So there's... I just want to reinforce that learning to myself. And speaking of which, if you are learning Fusion 360 and you're like me, you're brand new, there's a person I found out on YouTube called Lars Christensen, and here's his YouTube channel. I haven't watched everything he's made because he's made a lot. But I did watch if you see here, here's this Fusion 360 tutorial for absolute beginners. I watched the first 3 of them. He is an excellent teacher.
Yeah.
If you're going to touch Fusion 360 and you're new to Fusion 360, just watch his first 3 videos and repeat exactly what he did. In fact, as homeschoolers, we're having our kids go through it right now. My 14-year-old has gone through it, and he's really picking up a lot just from those first 3 videos. Also, our 10-year-old's going through it. I'm having her do a little slower pace, but she's getting it, and she's doing it just fine. In fact, our 14-year-old is teaching our 10-year-old because he's just one lesson ahead. But I would really suggest watching him if you're new. Like, I'm new. I just barely have started fiddling with Fusion 360. Cool. So let's see what else. So, and also, this is the first thing I've ever actually put on Thingiverse. I started a Thingiverse account last week because I made my kids start one, so I started one too. But I actually had to go figure out how to upload. So I went out here and uploaded all these. So here they are on Thingiverse, and this happens to be Thingiverse 2847182. And so I put all the tiles up here. And so you can go in here and you can see all the single tiles. 0 through 9 are on here. I put 10 through 90 on here. I didn't put all the hundreds because I think it's just too much. I put like 100 and 200, I think, on here. If people want more, just tell me and I'll put those up too. But I'm just really excited.
Which, by the way, this really does store nicely.
That was another thing.
It goes way above and beyond my expectations of what I had requested of you. I mean, you did my minimal request, but this, the way it clicks in and the way you put these little tabs on there.
That was a happy accident. So what I did, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So, I probably should show the Fusion 360. It's probably easier to see there.
Pretty cool.
You can see in here's this little angle down here and angle up here. So I thought they would match. Now what I did at first is I made them the exact same size. And making them the exact same size, I thought they wouldn't even fit on each other. I thought it'd be too much. And I thought I was going to have to make the lower one bigger. Mm-hmm. So it could rest on there. That's all we were looking for. But I wanted to try it out. So I printed them out.
So they wouldn't move. At least they would stay in place.
I just wanted them to stay in place. That's all that was for. But they kind of snapped together. So I was like, oh, that's a cool idea.
And some of them snap a little too tight. But after the kids and I kind of played with them for a while, they snapped really nicely. They kind of loosened up a little bit. Yeah, they're a little stiff at first, but playing around with them. And I guess, we've only played with them for a few days, so maybe they'll wear out. I don't know. We'll see. But, even if they only last a month, their snappiness, and that's something you really like, then you just print another one out, right? Well, and after a while, your kid will get the hang of place value and counting up, and, this will just become a toy to them because they've already caught on to the concept. It's all snapped together. That turned out way better than I thought it would. So I'm pretty stoked. 5 of the ones here, 1 of the green 10s, and 2 of the 100s. Okay. So pretty cool. Thanks, honey. Cool. I'm glad it worked out. I have some high expectations from you. That was the first one. Cool. Well, but if anyone out there just downloads this and wants to use this for their kids and does use it, hey, give us some feedback and tell us that you like it or you hate it or you have some other ideas for it. That's really neat. And if anyone else wants to join in and start making some manipulatives for kids out there who are homeschooling or in regular school, we just happen to be the homeschoolers. But any kind of educational tool is just a big deal. And I'm trying to still push the idea. I think every homeschooler needs a 3D printer because you can print stuff out like this. I think there's a lot of educational stuff out there already, and I want to make sure there's more. Cool. Okay, so with that, the next thing I'm going to do in this video is actually go through and show some quick time lapses of 3 of the parts, the 1s, the 10s, and the 100s, and show how much filament and how long they took to print on my Prusa i3 and K3, and how much they cost in filament electricity. And that should wrap it up. Cool. Thanks. You're welcome. I'm happy for a first go. I didn't think it would go that well. Whoa. Okay, here's a few quick videos showing their construction. Now, before I go over the cost of these, just to show you what I'm doing, what I do is I base my electricity cost off 10 cents per kilowatt, which depending on where you're in the country, that might be a little high, it might be a little low. So you can adjust it accordingly. Now, the other thing I do for filament, for the price of filament, is I base my numbers on that a 1 kilogram roll of filament is roughly about $20, including tax and all that, for PLA. And that 1 kilogram filament roll has about 333 meters in it. And if you do the calculations on that, you basically get 6 cents per meter. So that's my base. Now, having said that, as we go here and we see the 1s, now the 1s took about 1 hour and 41 minutes to print out on my Prusa i3 MK3, to print out a single one.
It took 1.4 cents worth of electricity. It took 7.79 meters of filament at a cost of, which roughly comes out to 47 cents worth of filament. And so if you add that all together, you get about 48 cents to make a single one of the ones. Now for the tens, it took 1 hour and 41 minutes to print that out on my Prusa i3 Mark III. It took 2.3 cents worth of electricity, and it took 15.39 meters of filament, which for filament, that comes out to 92 cents worth of filament. And if you add that all together, you get 94 cents to print out one of the tens places. And lastly, hundreds. The hundreds took 4 hours and 14 minutes to print out. It took 3.2 cents worth of electricity, and it took 22.88 meters of filament, which is $1.37 worth of filament. If you add that all together, you get $1.40 to print out one of the hundreds. And now talking to my wife about this, I said, well, I want to print them all out. What would you consider a small set, and what would you consider a complete set to go through the hundreds? So based on that, a small set, you would print all the ones, 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 9, so there's 10 ones. You'd also print 9 tens, 9, 10, 20, all the way up to 90. And you'd also print 1 100. So that would give you the ability to actually put the numbers on there to go. You could actually go from 1, well, you go from 0, I guess. But you go from 1 all the way to 199. And you could actually put those numbers in front of you. And to print all that out would cost $14.06. Now for a complete set with, having these hundreds, that would get you all the way to 999. Based on these numbers, it would cost $25.86 to print it all out. Plus it'd probably be a big chunk of stuff. I haven't printed them all out yet, so I'm in the process of currently printing out the small set, so we'll kind of see how big that is when it's done. But there you go. That's how much it costs to print all that out. So not bad. I like it. Hey, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hey, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you like what we were doing here, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And lastly, have a piece of info to share? Just post a comment.